Hello and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Joining me today, you know him, you love him. He's part of the Hello and Welcome crew. Give it up for my friend, Jerome Cheng. How
What's
you doing?
up? I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Love your kitchen still, as
Thank
always.
you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate, I love the tiles.
Yeah, I did yesterday I was testing out streaming to Twitter like
Mm.
for our React pod. And so I just like went live from our StreamYard account and I just did it like from this location here and I just sat there for about like 5 minutes. And then comments started like rolling in and one of them was just like white tiles. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
That's all
Represent.
they
Thank you.
said?
Like, well, enthusiastically. You can read it in the tone of the text.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they were just like white tiles. Oh man, so sick. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what the exact wording was, but they were very impressed.
That's
So
what adulting is. You get excited about the tiles.
it's a good tiling, yeah.
Yeah. And since I've seen you, you've become a blonde.
I have, although it's like really grown, like the black is kind of grown in.
Yeah, yeah.
You're actually catching me a day before I'm gonna finally cut this after 3 months and maybe go blonde again.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah,
cut and re-dye.
I think that's gonna be the move. Yeah,
Oh man, sounds
yeah.
expensive.
I know a person, so thankfully it is
Oh,
not like a
okay,
crazy.
okay. You know a person.
Yeah,
Blah
it's
blah
someone
blah.
it's like someone I hoop with. Shout out Pernell and his crew there.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Very cool.
no, I know because like I talked to another woman friend because they're like it's so expensive. And I was like, oh no, they're gonna do like a cut and bleach for like 150.
Wow. Did
That's
she get
like
upset?
yeah, she was like what? That's absurd. But
If
that's
I
like
get
real.
my hair like trimmed,
I
so
know.
like literally the same amount of hair you're probably gonna cut off.
Hmm.
Plus like not even highlights, but just like doing my roots,
Hmm.
that's easily $300.
Right. So that's kind of why and like I'm paying
This
my
is why men should
therapist.
just pay for a first date. You know what I mean? This is why
Oh
you just got to
wow.
pay for a first date.
This like I feel like Dwayne Wade like tossing the alley to you, LeBron, for like bring back chivalry.
Just a little bit. Just a
Yeah, just
little
a
bit.
bit.
Yeah,
Well, in a
only a little
cap
bit.
like not chivalry for the sake of enforcing gender dynamics, but chivalry under the burden of capitalism.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
kindness.
and kindness.
And kindness.
Yeah.
Okay. That's me being silly. Just a small programming note. I'm so sorry I missed last week's episode. I got really sick and I had Jerome booked last week, so happy to be back. I'm sorry. I got messages from some people being like, "Where's the episode?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry."
You should have
I
thrown
I
me under the bus. That would have been really funny. Just like I
no, I
had so
would
what? That would have been no. I just like I would love a bit like
Jerome
that.
canceled on me last minute.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was
I
weird.
either
He actually said, "quote unquote," "I'm too big time," and then just didn't come.
do big time now.
Yeah.
I either had pneumonia or bronchitis, I'm not sure. But I'm supposed to get like a chest x-ray and I didn't go, which is
Oh,
pretty
why not?
bad. Well, I started taking antibiotics and I was feeling better and I was like,
Okay.
I'm just not going to bother.
All right. Fair.
Um yeah. And I'm not
Is that?
struggling to breathe, so I
Yeah. I'm
think I'm
like.
fine.
Is that like the equivalent for like someone who does podcasting and comedy of like really not taking care of yourself, like doing your due diligence by not doing chest X-rays because you never know. Like when like a player foregoes surgery.
Oh, no, no, no. It's nothing like that. It's just
No.
me being like, "Meh, I'll walk it off."
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And so far I have been. So
Yeah,
there's
no,
that
no.
part.
I did not know this until you mentioned it on the pod, and you seem like a person that does
Amazing.
not need X-rays.
Thank you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And just, not wasting resources out here. Okay, but since I missed last week, let's jump into it. So a lot has happened, and we didn't get to dive into like the crazy Jimmy Butler drama
Yeah.
and the Bradley Beal stuff. I don't need to rehash all of it, but essentially, like, since Jimmy Butler, did officially announce he wanted to be traded and this and that, and then he got suspended for what was it, 7 games or something like that for like
Is that how many? Yeah.
conduct detrimental to the team. And then he's just been out here like living his best life, like serving his like $20 coffees and,
And
just hanging out
shading
with
them while
people.
filming coffee content too, right?
Yeah, shading them at the same time. And, one thing that made me think about all this and the question I'm proposing to you is like, are these players really worth it? Because even
Mm,
though I know he's like trying to do this whole like I'm petty thing, which is not my thing personally. I know a lot of
sure.
people love that and blah blah blah, but I actually think this is hurting his trade value and hurting his chances of actually going to a real contender because he's not taking this whole thing seriously.
Right.
And I actually think this has become a red flag for other teams.
Yeah, that's
This is my personal theory.
no, no, no. I hear that. I think in the specific case of Jimmy, you know what you're gonna get, just because this isn't Jimmy's first crash out to like get away from a team. Like if you look at like what he did with the Timberwolves, like you know
Right. And
exactly
it
what you're
always
getting.
ends ugly. That's the thing. It
Right.
always ends bad.
Yeah. Because he did. Was it from Minnesota to Miami? That was the move, right?
No, it was
Oh
to
no,
Philly.
it was Philly first, then Philly to Miami.
It was Chicago to
Oh
Minnesota.
my gosh. Okay.
Then it was Minnesota to Philly.
Okay.
Then it was Philly to Miami.
Okay. Then that would take away like, um, my analogy of like where it's just like, well, if you like cheat with someone to start dating them, if they start cheating on you, well, you knew what you got yourself into. But no, it's not that.
No.
No, no. But I think like if you watched what he did with that, where he took what the third stringers to destroy the starters on the Timberwolves, so like actively tried to destroy morale,
Yeah.
and then immediately go to do a Rachel Nichols one-on-one, like to publicly slander. Like this was
Mhm.
actually, as far as Jimmy goes, like pretty low key because most of it was behind the scenes. I think the biggest drama up until like it was officially noted that he wanted to trade was between Jimmy's agent and Shams Charania.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
there's drama before that, which is just the fact that they don't want to give him like this extension. Like he wants this max extension, and they
Right.
don't want to do it. And I think that's where this drama really started. Hindsight's always 2020,
Yeah.
but like this is something that they could have dealt with in the summer, right? And because it sucks to have to blow up your team or to lose your best player like mid-season. Like it is going to be a loss of a season if they do end
Oh,
up
totally.
trading him, right? Like they're
Yeah.
not going to get,
But how far
they're,
away are they going to go with him anyway?
right? Because I think you can only do the we're not going to care in the regular season thing for so long.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the writing was on the wall, and I think they could have done something about this a bit earlier. But we'll see. We'll see where he ends up, if he ends
Yeah.
up
I
anywhere.
think the one
They
thing that
might just
helped
sit him out for the rest of the season and be like,
until
screw you. Because if they're, I mean, I don't, who knows? But it doesn't seem advantageous for anyone to do that. But
hmm
they do seem kind of spiteful. But at the
yeah,
same time, it's like, there hasn't been any rumors about teams really gunning for him.
that part is true. I mean, like, I guess,
There's been no talk,
yeah.
no whispers about that. And
Hasn't he been specific about he only wants to go to one team though?
at first he's like, I'll go anywhere. And then he
Yeah,
was like, actually, I want to go to this team. And it's
yeah,
like, you're not a free agent.
yeah. I mean, like,
Like
there
it
is a lot
doesn't,
more autonomy these days, and I think the one thing that works for Jimmy in this context is he's going up against an organization that is notorious for kind of being more discarding toward their players. Like Pat
mm-hmm.
Riley is probably going down as like one of the coldest presidents in the league. Is that yeah, he would be a president.
Yeah, yeah.
And so to that end, there's like kind of a yeah, Jimmy's kind of a dick, but his boss is also like a bit of an ass too. So like it
Sure,
works a
that's a
little bit in his favor that
true
way.
alpha contest between
Yeah,
those two,
yeah,
right? I think too, like, yes, players have um more, I forgot the word you just used.
autonomy.
Autonomy, yeah. But
Yeah,
in the same regard, because of the new CBA, they actually have
right.
less.
Right.
because everyone has less. Like all these teams have less room to actually make these big plays because now it's like, well, we can't go into the luxury tax. That's not an option anymore. So they can't just be like, oh, Jimmy Butler wants to come here. Okay, let's give up all these assets, pay him this, and go for it. It's just not an option. So I feel
Anyone
like
that's going for him like are essentially expecting to win within that same season or at most two, probably one.
mhm,
Because his age too, on top of all that.
which is why they don't want to pay him in the first place.
Totally.
I just feel like, I like Jimmy Butler. I'm
Hmm.
never spending $20 on a coffee until inflation demands it. Like, I'm never doing
I
that.
did it. Wait, did I do it in Miami?
Stop.
He had a pop up. I'm trying to figure out. We filmed at the pop up. I want to say we got them to give us a coffee for free. So
Was it the best coffee you've ever had?
it was fine.
It was fine.
It was good, yeah. Like I don't know that it was any bit more than like a coffee I'm getting out here in Toronto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is saying something
Yeah. But
because
it's
they
like
are geographically closer to coffee beans.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's also like going down to like
No,
the barista and all the other things that are factored in, but I get what you mean. Yeah, like there
no, I'm
wasn't
not
anything
about
that
that.
yeah. Yeah, totally fair.
Uh, I shouldn't be so hard about it, but I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
For those of you just joining us, I'm here with Pat Riley, who's speaking very poorly about Jimmy Butler and his antics, also the price of his coffee.
You know what? From this safe distance, I would be like, what's the deal with the price of your coffee, man? But
Oh,
he'd
that's
give me
fair.
this whole spiel about blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, I'm still not about it.
Yeah.
But in any case, the reason why I say all this too is because I'm pretty sure like a month ago or so on this podcast, I was like, the Warriors have to go after Jimmy Butler, this
Mm,
and that. And now I'm starting to change my tune a bit.
really? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's so bad for the Warriors. I feel like they could take anyone.
yeah, I am starting to change my tune a bit because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, there's just something about him that feels checked out. And I could be totally wrong about that. But
Oh, interesting. I think that is really just because it's with the Heat right now. I feel like you put him in another situation, he'd be like totally fine. Like again, I think
and
like
I could be
Jimmy's like
wrong.
one of
I
those
would
things
love
like
to
you.
be wrong
I
for the
think like with
record.
Jimmy, he's kind of one of those players. It's kind of similar to like Chris Paul or maybe getting like certain head coaches in the league where it's like when they come in for like those first 2 or 3 years, everyone buys in. Like they galvanize their strong personalities like really carry over. But I think it wears after that.
But Chris Paul's never been like, I'm just going to stop trying now.
Right. Oh, like in that sense, I give you that for sure. Yeah.
Um, but we'll see. And, I don't want to jump too far ahead. I don't know if we have much to say about Bradley Beal. Like, I mean, this no trade clause is one of the most ridiculous contracts in NBA history to the point where I think this is part of the Bradley Beal legacy,
Right.
is just how he was able to finagle one of the worst contracts ever. And how he's like, well, I hold all the cards, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no one likes you.
I don't know.
Like
That sounds like the
who's out
NBA
here
dream.
like I like Bradley Beal. I'm a Bradley Beal fan. Like
In
I don't know
2025, I'm
I
not
don't know
sure. Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't
know
know.
anyone out here that's like don't slander my man Bradley Beal.
Am I allowed to say I respect Bradley Beal?
Of course, you're allowed to say whatever you want.
Because I feel like I really respect a person that somehow has schemed out like the worst contract. Like if someone was telling me like this guy's getting paid way too much for what he's doing, I'm like I think I kind of figured it out.
But before we started recording, we were talking about envying people who don't have to try very hard.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of what you're talking about
Yeah,
here.
it's a lot of that. Like I think I'm a pretty hard worker. I think I have a good work ethic, but no, I mean
Yeah,
being
I'm a
overpaid
very
like
hard
bad contract.
worker.
Yeah.
I'm a very hard worker. But if
Hmm.
I didn't have to be,
Right.
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't
Right.
continue to be a hard worker if I didn't have to be.
Like all that slander that Tobias Harris would get for the contract.
That's
I'm just
another
like
one.
it's kind of like it's because we were talking also
Jim,
about like
Westbrook.
right.
Yeah.
It's almost like on the same par as like being a kid and watching like the greatest basketball players and being like, I would love to do that someday. That's me being like an adult and seeing these really bad contracts of being like, oh, I would love to make that someday for
Mm.
like not being worth its value. Yeah, no,
Listen,
shout out to Bradley Beal.
if I could retire, like if I
Yeah,
had like so much money that I could retire and like truly live the good life, I'm pretty sure I would just craft and bake and
yeah,
socialize with people
yes.
and maybe play video games
We would
still.
have this conversation, but we would just be talking. It wouldn't
In
be like recorded.
person
Yeah,
with
exactly.
very expensive charcuterie.
Yeah. But sometimes also like, I don't know, takeout just to keep ourselves humble.
Sure, and we know
Yeah,
all the good takeout spots. That
sure.
doesn't change.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, yeah, we do envy the lack of try hard, but again, like I don't know what Bradley Beal's doing for another franchise. I don't
I would, yeah, when he joined the Suns, I was like,
like
oh, they
if he
have
didn't do it for the Suns, if he wasn't a difference maker for the Suns, how is he
totally.
going to become a difference maker for literally anyone else?
He had the cachet when he was with the Wizards of being like, oh, they just didn't build the right team around him. He's such a talented player. If you put his talents on a different team, like you would really get to see the value that is Bradley Beal.
Hmm.
And then we did. And this is where we are. And like I mean it's so crazy cuz like what Kevin Durant is at times a top 1, 2 player in the league
Yes.
with like at least what should be an all-star level talent next to him. And yeah, we don't talk about the Suns at all. Like
Yeah, because when you lack depth,
mm,
no one can afford to have an off night. And that's what's
right.
happening with the Suns, right?
Right,
It's
right,
like
right.
Devin Booker has an off night and it just becomes hard to watch, or vice versa. Or like Kevin Durant, at this stage in his career, he's not going to play a full season kind of thing. It's
Sure,
like,
totally.
so if he's not in the game, it's a wrap, right? And like the Warriors are going through that too right now. It's like if Steph Curry isn't on fire, you don't have a chance to win the game.
Oh, the Warriors. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of looking at these guys where like they're flexing like it's 10 years ago, not just in terms of like their age and where they were at as players, but in terms of where the league was at in terms of flexibility.
Mm,
You can't flex like that anymore because no one else can,
right. No,
figuratively
that's
and
a really good
literally.
point. Yeah, yeah.
So I just feel like you know 2 years ago, different story. But now I don't think these guys are worth what they're asking for, in my opinion, based on the
Yeah.
current landscape. So with that being said, sorry, do you have more to say on that?
No, 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 please.
Okay.
Carry on. Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to segue into the Warriors because Steph, while he was here in Toronto Monday night post game after that loss, very impressive Raptors win. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Um, he said some really interesting things in which I have some interesting thoughts and would
Okay.
like to know your thoughts too. So he basically said that he doesn't want the Warriors to make an impulse big move. I'm paraphrasing here.
Sure.
He doesn't want them to trade all their assets away to just
Okay.
go for it this year. That's what he said post game.
Right.
And that's it's a very interesting and telling thing because players don't talk about teams' future assets like that. Especially if it's likely you're not even going to be on the team, right? Like
Yeah.
you're nearing the end of your career. Why do you care about what assets the team has going forward without you?
No, I hear that. I mean, he also does have the kind of fortune of having a career and established legacy that doesn't require him to do anything more for the remainder. I'm sure he wants to remain competitive. I'm sure he wants to do that. But there's not necessarily like that sense of urgency of him needing to add another chip to like really solidify anything. Like whatever
He
is
doesn't have
thought,
anything to prove.
there's nothing to prove at this point. After he got that Finals MVP, like it was it. Like and
Yeah,
then
in
he was like set.
2022. Yeah. But here's the thing, right?
It's very
So,
Tim Duncan like, which he always seems like kind of spiritually adjacent to.
well, yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting comparison. I will say this though, because I feel like any other player in his position would be like getting pissed off and wanting the team to make big moves, right? Like how LeBron has been in LA for the last few years. That's how the Westbrook trade happened, blah, blah, blah. But here is, and I have to give your buddy, Trey Kirby, credit for this
Yeah.
take because I haven't heard anyone else say it. And I think this is really, really smart and quite possibly true. And that is, he thinks that Steph has maybe been promised an ownership stake after he retires.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
And because
Yeah.
why else would he be like, no, I don't want the team to do anything rash just for me, blah, blah, blah. Because this is what's going to keep him in Golden State. This is how we're going to ensure he retires as a Golden State Warrior. This is going to keep him happy for till the rest of his career and then years to come after the fact. And he certainly earned it. And
Yeah.
it made me think of Kobe. He obviously
His
wasn't
legacy
promised a
contract
late,
that completely
yeah,
tanked
the
the
legacy
Lakers.
contract. Yeah, like he
Yeah.
wasn't promised an ownership stake, but they knew he wasn't going to be, the player he once was after that Achilles injury and all that. But they gave him that, what was it, like a 2-year, $50 million
It completely
contract,
tanked the team for
completely
years. Yeah.
tanked the team, but they wanted and needed him to retire a Laker.
Yeah.
And they wanted to make that statement that's like, hey, we take care of the people that have shaped this franchise. Unlike a Pat Riley, who we mentioned earlier, who like
Hmm.
fully traded Dwayne Wade away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think this is, even if it isn't an ownership stake, I think there's been a conversation between him and ownership and the front office to be like, Steph, I don't know if we're going to win another championship here again. We don't have the chips to move. They never found their Kawhi Leonard. Talking about the
Sure.
Spurs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like maybe they were hoping that would be James Wiseman or whatever, but they never got their Kawhi Leonard to
I mean, they
extend.
did. It was Steph Curry.
No, that, but I mean, like, how, like, with the Spurs, like, they had Duncan, blah,
That
blah,
to
blah,
extend
and
it another.
then,
Yeah. I mean, but
getting
like,
Kawhi helped them extend that run longer. And I
right.
feel like,
But the 2022, like, isn't that kind of the Andrew Wiggins move that helps him get over the top in 2022?
mm, I'm going to say no
Okay.
because Kawhi was, like, a finals
I mean, like,
MVP,
yeah, yeah, like quite to that level, but just in the
right? And,
sense of
and they
like,
won
yeah,
5 championships.
sure, sure, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like they don't have a player of that caliber to extend this run. And like they at this point, and I feel like they need a player who is so good to be, to the point where like Steph doesn't even have to be your number one guy
sure, yes.
to have a chance going forward. And it's just not going to happen. And I think Steph saying all of this is him accepting that fact.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean,
I
like,
think he's accepting
yeah,
that fact. I think he knows he's going to end his career soon. I don't think even though he is in shape and good enough to play until 40, like LeBron, or even longer, God willing, but I don't think he wants to.
I could see that. I mean, like, I don't know, everything that you're describing there, and also if you're looking back at like Steph's career and like the path to success that he's had for
Hmm.
championships, at no point has it ever been about the Warriors trading their assets for something that would lock them into a championship.
Except for Kevin Durant. Oh, yeah,
Kevin
well,
Durant,
that was a
but
free agency
that was a free
signing.
agent
Yes,
signing,
true, true, true.
right? Like they never gave up anything for that. But like I
No.
think to those ends, it's just like that kind of mentality would have ended up with us not having like the Splash Brothers because they kept Klay Thompson in the end, right?
Yeah.
And so I think like
Oh my
Steph
God.
has
Guess
been
what I
built.
got this week? A little
There
Clay
you go. There you
Thompson.
go. That's perfect.
Funko. Anyway.
But I think Steph, and like it is very Spurs like that way. Like even when you mention a Kawhi Leonard came up through the Spurs. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
acquire Kawhi Leonard through gathering a number of assets to like bring him in as a game changer. Like they brought him
Right.
up to that, and like yes, the Warriors have not been very successful in developing like the right people for it, but I think also they have kind of built in their culture that they're not a team that's gonna like give all that up for something. Also because like how often does that work?
Hmm.
How
I was
often?
just I was just thinking that because, it obviously worked with Boston in 0708, right?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they won one, but still, right? They had back-to-back finals appearances. And then it worked for Miami, the LeBron era Miami Heat team. And
Right.
then
But
all
even with
these,
LeBron, he was free agent,
right. They
right?
were
He joined the team.
actually, yeah, you're right. That was a pure free agency situation.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of situations, whether free agency or trade, right? Like the Brooklyn Nets.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're looking at the Phoenix Suns and all these
Mm-hmm.
different teams that have tried it and it hasn't worked.
Like in this current era where there's more parity in the league too, like there just
It's
hasn't been a
failed more
version
than
of it.
it's worked.
Yeah. So I think to that end, and like also smartly, like again, the guy has nothing to lose. I don't even
Yeah.
think like an ownership thing like really factors in. Although yes, that would obviously affect like how he approaches it. But it's like yeah, if you look at it from an organizational standpoint, like they kind of have to lean on their reputation as the team that they are. Like they don't if they were suddenly going to pivot and to try to do this move and have it like fail spectacularly, like that puts them in a worse position than they are now. At least right now, they're a team that is developing and hoping for the best for something to come.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like it does nothing for Steph's legacy. Like we just mentioned Kobe, like I don't think that looks kindly on like it just doesn't seem like a smart move on both ends that they did that legacy deal. Like if you were to look at like, especially for someone like Kobe who was like this mama mentality that was supposed to mentor the next like generation, like it would make more
Mentored them
sense
by not passing.
by not pass. It would have made more sense for him to set the Lakers up in the right position for after he was gone. And that's kind of
Yeah.
like if I'm Steph, like for like pure like public optics or like whatever perception is, like it makes perfect sense to me that he wouldn't do something that would tank the team unless it was like a very obvious thing. But we haven't really seen an example where it's been working of late.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Mm-hmm.
with LeBron, like how many times has it worked where LeBron has demanded like giving up all the assets for the sake of it? I think the Cavaliers, sure, like when he came back, like giving up Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love.
Yep.
Um, I guess the Lakers, but the Lakers, I don't know, the Lakers team that won in 2020
Well,
won because they
Anthony
were so
Davis was
deep.
a trade. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's also like kind of a thing of like right time, right place, like in their prime. Like Steph is past his prime. In as you're describing, like you would need someone that almost needs to like carry him, and I don't think you have that existing. Like, what's the option? That might be a Jimmy Butler, but I don't think that's the answer anyway. You know, so like
No.
if you can name a player that they can like reasonably get to like turn this all around, then sure. But like they're gonna give up all their depth, and again, just doesn't seem like it's ever been the formula of success for the Warriors.
Yeah. I just feel like it was kind of obvious looking at the situation that it was probably quote unquote over.
Yo, yeah,
But there's just something about that statement that makes it a little more real.
yeah, oh yeah. There's like a finality that feels to it, like when they actually speak it and like put it out there into the ether.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, I've got one more NBA topic for you
Sure, hit me.
before we move into our Raptors homer moment. And that is, there's been a lot of talk this season about three-pointers being an issue in
Mm-hmm.
the league. Everyone's just jacking up threes. The commentators are getting sick of it. The TNT crew's loud about it. A lot of people are loud about it.
Yes.
And it's to the point where like Adam Silver's being asked about it and he's like, this will be addressed,
Sure.
hinting like there's going to be some sort of like a rule change, like or something to that effect that the league could do to enforce less threes being taken. And to me, my little hot take on all of this is, talk about Steph Curry. This is the Steph Curry effect, and that everyone
Oh
wants to
yeah.
be Steph, but people forget the reason why Golden State chose to run their offense the way they did is because they had two of the greatest 3-point shooters to ever
Sure.
live, right? And so for even from a mathematical perspective, it wasn't just, oh, 3 points is more than 2 points. No,
Right.
the shooting percentage for those players was as high as it
Right.
would be to do a mid-range jump shot with a hand in your face. And I think a lot of these guys, they're jacking up threes. One, I think it's a little lazy. And two, they want to be that guy who has that moment.
Mm.
And it's like if you're
But didn't it work
shooting,
for the Celtics? Like last year, like they went so far into the extreme of like jacking threes, and it, like when it looks good and when it's actually hitting, like they won a championship.
right.
Right.
Yes, but also too, like your shooting percentage has to match.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, because you can't just like make all these attempts and miss. Like, I think that's become the frustrating part. Because if you're hitting it,
Oh, it gets really ugly. Like some
it's
of these
not a
games are just
frustrating
like,
thing to
yeah.
watch, right? It's only when you're missing all the time that it's like, oh, this is hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I don't think the league needs to do any rule changes per se around this one particular issue unless they have ways to like speed up the game in general, but that
Sure.
covers
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that go beyond just the 3 pointers. I feel like this comes down to coaching,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why are you structuring an offense that requires these guys to just jack up threes all the time? Right? Like, wouldn't you want to have a more dynamic offense for your team if they're not hitting enough of those threes?
Yeah. No. You absolutely would. I think.
Like, Adam
Yeah.
Silver could have a secret meeting with the coaches association or just with
Sure.
the coaches in general and be like, guys, you got to be more interesting than this.
Yeah. I mean, that was a really tough one because I mean, the whole nature of watching like enough basketball over generations is like something is always going to be a solution or a reaction to the thing before.
Sure.
And so, you know, I think like at some point we might hit a thing where, kind of to your point, whether it's because you don't have the personnel or whether you like someone has found an answer for it, like you go back the other way, you don't shoot as many threes. This is like one example where I think like it's persistent long enough that it's hard to see a way back from it. Um, but that because like again, nothing is quite proven yet that for as ugly as it can get, it isn't like the most direct way for people to have success regardless of like what the personnel is. Like I think the Celtics put together a good enough personnel to like make that happen, and then it also resulted in them with their style of play to win a championship last year.
Mm-hmm.
But like that same style of play like looked ugly as hell when they lost to the Raptors last night.
Right? It did.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like to Boston to some degree was probably built to beat the Warriors,
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And now we look at a team like Cleveland who's kind of built to try and beat the Celtics.
Right,
And
right.
so you have those dynamics, but you take a player like Wemby for example. Yes,
Mhm.
Wemby can hit threes and he's obviously a phenomenon. But at the same time, if he was just hanging around at the
Sure.
3-point line, you would fire the coach before, not
Yeah,
Greg
yeah.
Popovich. I'm just saying, like you would fire the coach before you would change the rules
You
of
know
the
what?
league.
Fire Greg Popovich. No, it's like just like take this quote out of
I love
context and this guy.
Popovich.
Yeah, yeah. I love Pops. Yeah, yeah.
Just cut that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Put it on a YouTube reel.
yeah. Hello and welcome, loser. Jerome Cheng takes aim at Greg Popovich.
Aggregated, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like if I, not that I am smarter than a coach or anything like that, but if
Mm-hmm.
I just saw my team just like settling for shots that weren't going in, I would try to convince them to run a more dynamic and more efficient
Yeah, yeah.
shooting, like shot selection on an offense. Like I just don't, I
I
don't
mean, the interesting thing
understand why
is like,
people are
not. Yeah,
treating
yeah.
this like it's a league wide issue. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess
Because
like
it
the part
feels
that
like it's
is
just a
tough. Yeah.
trend that can be curbed, as opposed to like a league issue.
Right, right.
This is my hot.
I
This is my little hot buckets and
Yeah, I think it's gonna
tea
be fine. I mean, like
take.
for me too, like Yeah, sometimes it does get a little unwatchable to just see like two sides jack up a bunch of bricks against each other. But just the same way that it happened on Tuesday and will happen tonight at my pickup run, someone's gonna tell me to stop shooting, and I'll just stop.
Oh,
So like,
please.
I won't
What's
stop.
your
Just
what's your
yeah.
what's your pickup situation like?
Like, what do you mean? Like, in terms of like, okay, well, both of them are with Will, and
Yeah?
sometimes Alex as well. I actually
Uh-huh.
found both through them. Our Tuesday run is usually like a full court run. There are a couple of younger people, but mostly like people in like their mid to late 30s, if not 40s. So
Mm-hmm.
right in the same range. Will's actually a youngin over there.
Mm.
And how do we play? I get very gassed very easily, and then I just jack up a lot of threes whenever I get a chance.
What position do you play?
Yeah, I'm usually in a guard to wing situation.
Mm-hmm.
There's the odd occasion where I might be a point guard in a play, and I wouldn't say my handle's the strongest to let that happen. And also, I counteract my lack of handle by, again, immediately shooting when I get a chance. So, yeah, it's funny, like, when you're talking through all this, some of this is just like, I felt like I was just personally getting attacked. Like, Jerome, the 3-point chucking has got to stop. Because even though you're playing in a system where it is either like 2 and 3 points or 1 and 2 points, um, like you can't just game and think like mathematically your 25% from 3 is just as equally effective as people shooting the mid range in
Yeah.
these runs. Although I do think math wise, I do win out.
Oh my God. Well, we'll have to
um,
take your word for that one.
yeah, but no, I think to those ends, yeah, I feel like I've seen too much basketball to like get too worked up about where it is. This is probably not like I don't know. This is also kind of the result of like what we really loved for a long time of like Warriors basketball, and before that San Antonio basketball. Like
Mm-hmm.
that San Antonio team that beat the Miami Heat, and even the Miami Heat team to a certain degree, like they really operated within that. Like
Yep.
these are definitely ways like the 3-point, like maybe it's gotten to this point where it's like gone a little too far, and we're here seeing a lot of pushback because of it. But I don't know. I think it'll be fine. Like I wish I
Yeah.
had a
And
stronger
and
take
to
about
some
it as much
de
as like I think it's gonna be fine.
I think to some degree too, the Dirk Nowitzki Mavericks you could throw into that as well.
Sure. Oh my gosh,
'Cause
that Mavs team that beat the Heat, like they shot
yeah,
like
because
they
like
wouldn't have won if
he
they didn't just sink every three possible.
was pivotal in, revolutionizing the game in terms of like bigs hitting
Yeah.
threes and stuff like that. Okay, I think it's time to move on to our Raptors homer moment. Okay,
Thank you, by the way, for getting sick and waiting a whole week for the Raptors to be decent at basketball, so we can talk about it now.
oh, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Actually, it was to my disdain, but that's fine. It was a miserable time. I have to confess, I did not see the game last night.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because yeah, well, yeah,
I saw most of it.
I didn't see it because I was out with my mom out of town looking for a puppy.
I
For me
mean,
to get a puppy, which is
if
big.
you were to tell me choice almost any time between getting a puppy and watching an NBA game, I would choose puppy. And then even more so if you were like, hey, we're thinking of either going to get a puppy or in the middle of January 2025 watch the then what 9 and 30 something
Yeah.
Raptors play against the defending champion Boston Celtics. I don't think anyone's going to fault you for not catching it.
Oh, that's sweet. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah. Well, the puppy will debut on this podcast in a couple of weeks,
wonderful.
and then then we'll have a polar vortex, and I'll have to go outside a bunch. So that'll be fun. But anyway, I just wanted to admit that I didn't actually see what
Totally fair.
might be the best win of the season so far for the
It may end
Raptors.
up being the best season, like win of the season. Period.
Okay, I said so far. I was trying to be a little more optimistic, but
Well,
we've
I guess I haven't seen the schedule ahead, but the thing is, it's like the Raptors. I think technically have the easiest schedule for the remainder of the season, so they've like gone through every contender and every like tough matchup. So arguably, this might be the best team that we beat, and one that also is like our rivals.
right. And
So
yeah,
yeah,
and
so
further to that, I feel like because this stretch was, maybe a stretch we weren't necessarily looking forward to as
Mm-hmm.
Raptors fans because we knew it would be tough. But now that we've come up with these wins against Golden State and against Boston, like, do you feel like this could be a momentum shift for this season? No, not at all.
No.
Do you feel like cuz the clip that was going around, and we'll get into this a bit, about,
Sure.
Darko excited in the locker room and stuff, but one thing he said that's kind of, not the whole point of that clip
Sure.
is this is what happens when we're all together doing this, blah blah blah. And it's like, I know that's just coach talk,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like we're still trying to figure out with this team what we really have.
Totally.
And a lot of that's been due to injuries and things like that. But we are still trying to figure out this team. And I feel like I still don't have a full gauge on what we have, what the potential is for the future of, like, this core group or any of that. Do you have a pulse on that at all?
Oh no, absolutely not. I think.
Like, it feels like it's gonna take the whole year to figure that out.
Oh, if we have like a strong sense of what our identity is by the end of the season, I'd be pretty impressed, to be perfectly honest. Like,
Yeah, because I don't know.
because we haven't really played our roster until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So there's that. Like, for it's very funny like looking at the season so far because at the beginning of the season we were losing and we were like ethically tanking, but
Hmm.
like we would do this thing where we were like, oh, we're watchable. Like even though we're not like winning these games
It
and
was
even like
fun.
losing heartbreak, like we were fun and we were watchable. And then we hit a string of games where I think was it across 3 games like we had like our highest point differential, our highest turnover in a
Yeah,
single
over the
game
holidays, it
over
was
the
just really
holidays.
rough.
It was
Yeah.
super rough. And so, like when we did our React pod for the Boston game, kind of asking the same question, it's like, oh, are we heading toward being a play-in team? Like, Will pumped the brakes on any of that because he was just like, yeah, we did have a 2-game win streak earlier in the season. And then we ended up going like 1-18 or something, like 1 and
Yeah,
16.
brutal.
So, like, nothing about this team so far based on like the overall record and the overall trend says that like we are suddenly on the come up. Like this is a really good moment and I think this is like what you expect when you see like rebuilding teams. And so yeah, I don't think that we should be immediately turning to this and saying that this is a turnaround. And I don't even say it as a bad thing. This is a team that needs to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I just mean in terms of like momentum for the team and just like,
I
I
think
don't
they need
know,
to
not
see
being
wins like
so down.
I
Like,
think they need to experience things like this to establish like the right culture to like move forward. Because like you just lost every game. It doesn't matter how hard you play or anything like that. Like there's no way for you to tell yourself that this is in any way working. Like you need actual wins to indicate that something is going right.
yeah, I guess where I'm going with this is like we got to get back to that place where, like you said, where this is a fun team to watch
Hmm.
again. And I
This
feel
week I
like,
think they've been fun. Yeah.
yeah, they've been fun this week again. And that's what I'm
Right.
hoping for in terms of like this being a shift. Is I
They've
hope
been
we
they've been
get back
fun
to
in
that.
2025.
They've been fun for 1 week
Yeah, sure.
out of 2 weeks
Yeah, I couldn't even say for the full year so far in a short year,
in
right?
2025.
Oh wait, no, 2 weeks, 2025. Yeah, there we go. 2 weeks ago it was January 1st.
And it was not fun.
Uh,
People at like a New Year's Eve party were like coming up to me and they were like, the
oh
Raptors.
right, yes.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
that was hard to watch, blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't want to start the new year like this.
I mean, technically 2024 when that happened.
Yeah, it was pre-countdown. I will
Yeah,
give them
yeah,
that. But it
yeah.
was like, I'm like, I know, and I know we always talk about sports and we got to do the whole the
How about the
Raptors blah blah blah
Raptors? What's
thing,
going on with
but
them?
we can't
Yeah.
be, out here like lamenting like this to start off the new year.
No,
I'm
I
not
mean,
superstitious per se, but you got to have some good judge.
okay, no, I'll give you that. No, that's totally fair. Yeah, just shake it off and go into 2025 and start your year by eating 12 grapes,
I
was
was
it?
gonna ask you if you know about this 12 grapes thing.
Not only do I know about it, I did it.
You did the okay, tell me about this.
Um,
Because I also did the 12 grapes thing.
so
But I didn't know about it. My friend was like, Cathryn, we have to eat 12 grapes. And I was like, what are you talking about?
so I had heard about it, or at least seen it very vaguely through either friends' mutuals on IG story or cryptic tweets or cryptic TikToks that just said, "Have your grapes ready," or "I will have my grapes ready," and I didn't know what it was about, and I just didn't think about it. And I originally didn't have really any concrete plans for New Year's Eve. I knew I was going to go watch the PWHL game with some friends and then figure out whatever from there. And then right when the game ends, I get a call from a friend saying, "Hey, we're having a house party for New Year's. We thought of you. Are you free? We didn't think you were going to be free, but if you are, do you want to come hang out?" So I was just like, absolutely. And so I
Mm-hmm.
joined them there, walked in, met, it was hosted by a friend and her roommate. And it was the roommate who I met for the very first time that night who was scrambling around the room and asking, "Who's going to have these grapes for me?" From Farm Boy, by the way.
For me?
No, like with me. Like who are
Oh,
gonna have
yeah,
these grapes
with
with me?
me.
She got them from Farm Boy. They looked really fresh, and and no one was really budging. Everyone kind of knew what they were about, but no one was really budging. And I just got there and I just said, "Yeah, I'm kind of hungry. Why the heck not?" So I got them to fill me in on the full thing. I
Did you
joined.
sit under a table?
Did I ever?
Is she the love of your life now?
I don't think that's how that works. I not in the sense that like I don't think she's the love of my life. I don't know. We just met. She's absolutely delightful.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
but no, I don't think the grapes things works. It's not like mistletoe or something. Like it doesn't pair you with people. It just means that
No.
yeah.
But did you say, listen,
Hmm.
if Hallmark Channel ever wants to hire a
Oh, is this
union
like a meet cute
writer,
situation?
if they ever want to hire a union writer, I'll do
Yeah.
those stupid movies, okay?
Right. Right.
But they're very non-union, and you can tell. But this is a meet cute.
Oh, I see what you mean by that. Yeah. Yeah. I could see how it would go there. This is definitely what I was planning on talking about on a basketball podcast.
That's what the Buckets and Tea show
This is the
is.
tea part. In fairness, yeah, I'm
And
for
you
it.
did bring up the grapes.
Did I bring up? Oh, I did bring up the grapes. This is I didn't even think about
I'm
it.
not giving you like a show agenda, like, oh,
No,
and we're
that's a
gonna
good
talk
point. I didn't even
about
think.
grapes
I'm
and
just
who
like
you're
a
dating.
yeah. I'm just such a reckless yapper that I accidentally talked myself into an anecdote. This is. But yeah, no, no. I don't know. I don't know what leads for us. But I mean, what's kind of amazing is you've just now become a part of the potential script because the next time, like in the path,
Mm,
like that it comes up is just like it cuts to a scene where I'm recording a podcast, not knowing I was going to talk about the future love of my life.
yeah.
Right.
See?
Yeah.
And so you'll have this clip
Hmm. Do you have a
and
title for this?
the grapes of no, I'm kidding. I was trying to think of
Oh,
something
the
that
grape,
rhymed
like
with wrath, but was
yeah.
like love associated. I can't think
Right.
of the
No,
right
no, that's
word.
great. You're so close.
I was really close.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, we're
Something like
rooting
I
for
heard it through the
you.
grapevine, something to that effect. That might be something in there.
Oh my God. And then the vine is shaped like a heart and it
Yeah,
connects you
yeah.
two, and you're sitting under the table, staring into each other's eyes.
Also, like I am
A Christmas doily frames the table.
right.
Oh, I'm
I'm just gonna
here.
note like I don't know how tall that table is, but it was not because I am nowhere near like a small forward to power forward height. And I struggled so much to get under that table. I was just like this. I'll show you a photo afterward how it turned out.
Oh, you have a
Um,
photo.
yeah, yeah. It's not going to show up on the show, but I'll show you after the
Listen,
fact. Yeah.
opening or closing credits of my film.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I again, but I need to sign like the intellectual property away. We're not going to just
No,
like
listen,
give it
the
up on
odds
the
of
podcast.
In the era of AI, the odds of Hallmark hiring a union writer just gets bleaker and bleaker.
Right.
But hey, we can make it independent. We can make it like a cute indie.
Right. No, that's
We can
fair.
make a cute indie.
Wait, oh, you know what?
500 days of summer.
Let me see if I could
500
do it in
days of grapes.
well, it's like 12 months,
Articulate
right?
at
Is that
all.
the
But I
situation?
just picture that song. You remember that song that was in the 500 Days of Summer? Like, come on. That
Right.
2010s whatever song. You know
I'm
what I'm
gonna
talking about.
text you the photos from the event,
All
or
right.
like from the grape situation, like two of them there,
Oh my God.
and we'll just like leave it at that, so you can
Okay.
see. Yeah, there you go.
We should
Delivered.
move on to our hottie highlight. Oh my God. Oh my God, Jerome.
It is adorable, I will say.
How is this not a meet cute?
It might be. I don't know.
Okay, I know this is really bad
I thought your screen
podcasting.
froze for a second. You really
I know this is
froze.
really bad podcasting. Okay, I hope, can I share this photo to the
Nah,
world?
nah.
No, I won't. But I will say she's
Okay.
looking at you. She's giving you a look.
A friend pointed it out. Yeah,
That's all I'm gonna say.
sure. A friend actually like, screen cropped and screenshotted and basically said, "I'm just saying," to me.
Okay, so
So,
and it's on your mind. You brought up the grapes. All right,
you brought
we're
it.
gonna move on. We're gonna move on.
All right.
It's fine.
The
Hottie
hottie highlight
like
for
of the
me
week.
is the other person I had the grapes. No, I'm kidding.
We've got okay.
Okay. You sent me a
Hot.
bunch, and like, are the previous like from the last time like do they count in the mix here, or do we have new highlights
We're just gonna
based on
do
what you
the
sent
two
me?
Raptor ones.
Okay.
Because I think the other two, because sometimes there are weeks where I just don't get Raptor hottie highlights.
Sure.
And so I just do NBA hottie highlights. But
We
this
don't have
week
to go
we
into it. My
have,
short answer for the last week was the Kevin Durant wearing the cowboy hat.
yeah, there's a clip of Kevin Durant wearing a cowboy hat looking at old technology.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really amazing. There's actually a third that I forgot to throw in here, also Raptors related, but I have a feeling you've seen it.
Okay, what
So,
is it?
okay, first one is the Raptors after winning against the Boston Celtics screaming hi mom in the locker room.
Do you know the Hi
Okay?
Mom meme or the origin of that?
No, but now I'm disappointed that
Well,
they
I didn't
weren't
really
just
know.
genuinely saying hi to their moms.
I don't
All
know
right, it doesn't
much
win
from
for
that.
me.
Really?
Number
That's my pick. Anyway, go ahead. Keep going.
Number 2 is Emmanuel Quickley's dinosaur hat.
Okay.
I'm assuming is a dinosaur hat.
I have other takes.
Okay. And the third is Scottie Barnes and Jacoby Walter shopping. Have you seen this clip?
I did. I saw the
They
thumbnail.
were
I didn't get to
vintage
actually look.
clothing shopping.
Okay.
Actually, I meant to send it to you because I thought of you because I feel like you, Will, and Alex are like big vintage shopping guys. Like you guys like
Alex and
that.
I are
You
very
guys
into it,
like
and
that
Will
stuff.
wants to be a part of it,
Why
which is
isn't he
really
a
great.
part of it? When what? How hard could it be?
It's not hard. It's
Because
just
you
that
guys
he
are
doesn't
like, I feel
naturally
like
gravitate.
you guys buy like expensive vintage. I want to say you're not
Much
like
toward,
you're not like
yeah,
Value Village vintage. You're like collector vintage.
yeah, much to our dismay, we are.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little behind the scenes. My so I joined Alex and Will this year to do Hello and Welcome Pod, and the three of us get along swimmingly. Like that part is for sure true, but definitely with each individual, I have like different ways that I'm like a sicko with them. So with Alex, it's definitely retail and shopping, not so
Mm-hmm.
much with Will. And with Will, it's like becoming like a basketball sicko. So like with Alex, like for example, when we were at training camp, um, like part of the thing is like Will is the one who will go to practice, check in on things, and come back to report to us. We have nothing to do while Will's at practice. So Alex and I just spent the whole time walking about Montreal and checking various vintage shops.
Mm-hmm.
And Will would develop FOMO from that, even though it's not something he would naturally do.
He just wants to belong.
Yeah, yeah. Every time like we'll talk, like on some of our work trips, like about shopping, like Will would just like sheepishly say like, "I love shopping.
Oh
I
my
love shopping
gosh.
too," which is
So that,
great.
but your hottie highlight of the week is the hello mom moment.
Mostly because I just like really love Yakapurtle. Like I
So,
just love him getting the chain, and I now that I, because I didn't know about the high mom thing until after the fact, because the Raptors also made an edit based off like I think what the origin of high mom is, um, but I just and it makes it more endearing to me because I'm pretty sure everyone in the room knows what it is except Jakob.
and he's just saying hi to his mom.
I think he's just maybe I think he was just like doing that, but maybe he's in on it. I would love for him to be in on it, but I wouldn't also be not surprised if he wasn't. So it's so sweet. He's
He
such a
has to
sweet
be in
guy.
on it. He has to be.
I have to rewatch it to be sure, but yeah, but
Okay, that's
yeah, I think
fine.
that's up there. For the dinosaur hat,
Mm-hmm.
um, it kind of looks like a shell from Mario Kart.
Yeah, it reminded me of like
You know
Bowser.
the It reminded me of Bowser for sure.
Yeah.
It also like the blue shell of death in Mario Kart. You'd have to color it in, but it kind of looks like one of those. And
Mm.
so, I would just like to pick IQ's brain as to like where he got it from, why he got it. Does he have a special connection to it, or he just thought it was fun?
Yeah.
How did Tell me about the thrifting video? Like, what did they do? How did it go? Like, what was the
They
film
were
banter?
talking about how like Toronto, everyone's about vintage stuff.
Sure, yeah.
And they were trying on some stuff and they were
I'm
finding
guessing
some
this is
cool
on the Raptors
items.
account, right?
I would assume.
Okay. You keep
Yeah,
talking
it
about it
seemed
while I
very
start loading
official.
it
It
up.
seemed a very open gym-esque,
Mm-mm.
but I just saw the clip of it online.
Oh, here we are.
Shout out to Brittany who helps me find my hottie highlights. She
Nice.
sends me stuff all week. Like, hottie highlight.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah, it's the Raptors account. I'm gonna send it to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
right now.
I'm watching it
Also
right
shout
now. They
out to
love vintage.
Daniel who's gonna have to edit all of this. I'm sorry,
Fantastic.
Daniel.
Is he gonna have to edit all this in?
He finds a way with the clips, but I just mean in
Sure.
terms of like the actual podcast because we've had some pauses here, but I don't know if
Oh,
he's
right.
going to edit any of that out or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really need like like sometimes I'm like, man, I could really use like a personal social media assistant
Mmm.
just for like the social media of my life.
Right.
I wish I had someone assisting me with all of it.
No, totally fair. Oh, and they try on stuff. That's cute. Okay.
Yeah.
One
I
thing,
can't
because I'm
believe
just
you haven't seen this. This is like right up your alley. I thought you and Will and Alex would have been all over this.
I again will fake shopper, but
You should
no
take
no
him fake shopping.
we do take him shopping. Actually, like his favorite place to go to is SVP. Um, so our
Right. The shoe
big
store,
thing,
yeah.
yeah. This weekend I went to like the warehouse because it was nearby where I played basketball on the weekend,
Mm.
and I sent like a video of it, and Will's like, "Where is this?" Okay, so I didn't like get to listen because I read the captions as I was watching through. But one thing I really liked about Scottie's thing was just talking about how much he would be spending if he had a nil contract when he was in college. Like that part, I just got a kick out
Oh,
of.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that almost gets Hottie highlight for me for the fact of just like on a getting my on my soapbox of like pay college students. Like I like that part of it. They deserve to get
Yeah.
paid. Yeah, yeah.
Not just name and likeness. But yeah, okay. Let's wrap
So
it up
for you,
there.
which one's your Hottie?
Oh, I didn't know the hi mom thing was a meme. I thought they were
Right.
genuinely saying hi to their moms. And so now I'm about the shopping video
What if the
because
hi mom thing is like a wholesome thing?
well it is a wholesome thing whether it's a meme or not.
Yeah, yeah. But
But
like
I'm
even like
but
the
I
original
don't
meme
like
was like wholesome.
I don't like following trends. I am not
Mmm.
against it. I'm not like against it, but I don't like the following of trends
You would
to
be
try
fighting
and get
so hard
extra
with your
clicks.
social media manager.
Because, well, I feel like you
Yeah.
want to be a trendsetter.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I mean? You want to be the one who creates the trends.
Mm. I mean, we don't have to pull on that thread because that's gonna be like we'll talk
Yeah,
about it after
we
the
can't
recording. Yeah.
unravel
Yeah.
that. Yeah, we're going to be
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
forever. But that's just
Exactly.
how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? You want to be and you know, I'm a, you know, walk to the beat of my own drum kind of girl, you know.
Yes,
But
for sure. That is
so
part of your
and
charm.
thank you. But anyways, okay. So and I like the clothing thing because it's like it's nobody else is like it's not like everyone on TikTok is going vintage clothing shopping. And it's
Okay.
also them talking about the city and how this is like I mean, yes, it's a thing beyond Toronto, but for them, this is like a Toronto thing. Like this is part of what makes being here cool.
That
And
part,
so I
yeah.
like that part of it also.
Yeah, I think that part and them talking about it is pretty neat. Like just being
Yeah,
there and engaged with the
and
city.
Toronto, you got to give Toronto credit for doing the whole like players going shopping thing because the, you know, the whole
Yeah.
scarves thing a couple years back,
The whole Renfrew
right?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this is that's Raptors original stuff, man. Like that's to me like that's creating trends. That's cool.
Okay. Okay. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like my two, it's not IQ's hat. I think it's like very cute and I think it's very fun. I would like to know more background about it to
You would
really earn.
wear that hat.
Yeah, definitely. If I somehow got my hands on it, like I'd be wearing it right now on this show.
Mm.
Yeah, without question. But yeah, Yak. I think I just Yak has been our most consistent, like awesome player this season, and so him getting any kind of accolades, chains, whatever, is fantastic. And his reaction was so sweet, even if you separate the high mom stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
So Yak is
That's
my
very true. Jakob deserves his due, especially when after we all hated the trade and blah blah blah.
yeah.
You
If you
know?
have like an all like Hottie highlight team like for the season, like Yak would be in that mix for me.
Ooh. That's a fun April segment. I'm gonna keep that in mind.
What, you don't think the
Um,
Raptors are going past April?
no, I don't.
No one
Uh,
does.
all right, let's wrap it up there. Jerome,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining me. Let everyone know what you're up to and where they can find you on the internets.
I am up to the Hello and Welcome Pod, which
Mm-hmm.
is a fellow pod on the network.
Hell
And
yeah.
so, yeah, I do that with Alex Swong and Will Liu. You can follow us at Hello Welcome Pod on all socials. We're going back and forth if we're gonna join Little Red Bug. We'll see about that. But yeah, you can
Join
find all our
what?
stuff there. Oh, we're gonna talk about this after.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. All right.
Thank you so much for joining me talking about basketball, giving me your meet cute story. You
Oh
know,
my gosh.
we're gonna look forward to updates here, and
Follow me at my save the date. No.
and we're trust me, I'm gonna remember. We're gonna check in with you and the grapes, and you know, shout out to Farm Boy. Okay, thank you everyone. Talk to you next time. Bye.